Okay, we're recording.
Okay.
Do we need to say our names again?
Oh, our names. I'm Amanda Mitchell.
Raquel Ivy.
Stephanie Ramsey.
Okay.
Thanks for remembering that, Stephanie.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I really liked all the videos they had. Some really interesting things. Let's start. Let's see. How long does your recording go?
It's 40 minutes, but I think we fixed it, so it should go as long as we need this time.
Okay. Well, I think it says we only need to do about 8 minutes each, which would be like, let's see, 24 minutes, if I do my math right. I have to think about that. Okay, so, okay. The first question, it says, what do you think it means that all people are entitled to their own opinions, but not to their own facts? Was it this class? One of my classes, we read something by Elder Christofferson, and he said something like about gravity. You can deny it. You can try to deny gravity exists, and you can decide you don't like gravity, but the fact is it will always hold you down no matter what. I thought of that, and I just think facts are always facts. You can't change the facts. You can try to hide facts and things like that, but there's no changing facts.
And I think
Opinions can be
sometimes
changed.
just because we believe it is true, then we believe it's a fact. But we don't necessarily differentiate between the two.
Mm-hmm.
And there was I didn't write it down exactly, but it had something, and it might have been Elder Uchtdorf who said it, just because we believe something does not make it true. He said it much more eloquently than that, but that's what I could remember of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, just because we believe it doesn't make it a fact.
Yeah.
Someone's opinion is their point of view, what they think about a particular issue, so it does not have to be based on facts or knowledge.
Stephanie,
Well,
are you talking?
Pardon?
I can't hear you. Can you hear her, Amanda?
I can hear her.
Okay.
Uh-oh. You can't hear her?
Raquel, can you hear anybody?
Can you hear me, Raquel? Can you hear me now, Raquel?
Yes. I don't know.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes. I guess it must have been my sound. I'm sorry, Stephanie.
Okay, that's okay.
I can hear you now.
Okay, good. And fact is something that is known or proved to be true. So it states something. If we state something as a fact, you should be able to support it with arguments from reputable sources. You can't just, state something and then people should just believe it because you said it. You should be able to back that up.
I often find myself, and or one of the readings or something discussed it, and I always find myself saying things like they're facts, and then I can't remember who I heard it from. It could have been just some stranger off the street that said it, but since I heard it, it must be true. And so I say, oh, yeah, that was in our reading. They say that 90% of women have gray hair, So, yeah, it's like you said, Stephanie, we need to be able to back it up with facts, with research or whatever. So.
And one thing we learned in this lesson is just because it's in research too doesn't necessarily mean it's true.
That's true. That
Was kind of scary and alarming to me.
Yeah, that TED video, is that what it's called? That was really interesting how he said, like, how much data goes missing and how they rig it to make something look good and all that stuff. That was really interesting.
Right. Or the way that we interpret the statistics. In one of the videos, it said that the statistics are neutral, but then depending on how we interpret them and present them makes a difference.
Yeah.
And when I was watching that video, I kept thinking of one of the ones that I watched earlier with that lady on the news and sounded like Great Britain or somewhere, and that man, and she was only hearing it a certain way, and she kept going back to it, and he kept trying to stick to the data, and she wasn't understanding what he was trying to say the way he was trying to say it.
Yeah. Hear what you want to hear. Okay. Let's see. So far, we have learned the importance of having the doctrine in our hearts. Why do you think it is also important to have good science in our minds and mouths?
I think that many times the science also supports the doctrine. And then the other part that I came up with was God created the whole of us, not just the spiritual side, and He gave us science as well. So we should use all of the tools that He gave us to the best of our ability.
Yeah. Spiritual and science, I mean, it all works together as one. Everything comes back to a spiritual nature because that's how it all started. I think of my grandma, my dad's side, they're not members. My grandma, she had a lot of friends that were members, gave her the Book of Mormon. She read it through 2 or 3 times and decided she still didn't like it. She told me that she hated all the fighting in it. She said it was a sad book, and I was thinking, I heard later, you know what, the reason that all of that war and everything is in there is so that we can know the tactics of Satan, and I really liked that. We can know the devil's game plan. So I think if we are keeping our minds open to all the facts and the science, we can really discern what's true and what's not. And if we ever need to stand up like they do in the UN or something, we can know their tactics. We can know the truth and fight with scientific data and things like that.
And sometimes our opinion is not enough to persuade someone about our cause. So good science, that is science that can be retested by others, should be in our minds and hearts, because if we are advocating for a certain position, we should be able to back it up, and others should be able to use these sources. They should be able to read the data and to draw their own conclusion.
Mm-hmm. Okay. The myth of the gender wage war. In I'm going to put those questions together. Does the author attempt to fairly present all perspectives? And does she discuss alternative interpretations, including those with which the researcher agrees? Trying to get my videos straight here now. Read my notes here.
I thought she did fairly well at presenting several ways, but she did boldly call them wrong in the video. And part of it, I mean, she was gentle about it, but part of it she was almost attacking. But I did like the way that she presented it. I think that was the one. Was that the one where it was about feminism and she said it was a good thing and then they've taken it too far now?
That's not the gender video. That's the feminism 2.0. When she said that's the one that talk about the 3 pillars of feminism.
Okay. Feminism is the one with the 3 pillars, yeah. And
right.
then
the other one was when she was talking about it's often said that women earn 77 cents while men earn the whole dollar, and there's no difference in what men and women earn.
Oh yeah, and then she was saying, and these are the reasons why women take off more work for children to start a family. And I've heard those. We have a women's, I don't know, kind of business networking thing that they have here once a month. It's called Wine, Women, and Wealth. And I've heard those statistics given at their meetings. But they did, like she did, they added, okay, and this is why we like, first of all, when the babies are young, a lot of times they stay home. So that's 5 years right there if you only have one kid. So overall, they said it's about a 10-year period of time where a woman doesn't work, where a man is working. And I don't know. There's another video. I can share the link with you guys if you want to watch it, or if we have time at the end, we can watch it. But it's of, it's weird. A friend sent it to me this morning. And it's of Meghan Markle, Prince Harry's new wife, speaking at the UN. And she tells her story about how she started in for women's advocacy. And it's very interesting. But she doesn't, in this particular one, you can't really tell how far she's willing to take it. So there were some of the videos that several of the people said feminism was good. No one should be mistreated or discriminated. But now I think it's to the point where they just want like this all-knowing power and to be completely in charge.
Yeah. Feminism, I think, should be more of a leveling field, not a I'm better than you feel, I'm better than you. I should have the power. Yeah, it's definitely gone to the extreme.
Right. And she was 11 years old in this when she tells this story. The quick version is she saw in a class that they were watching at elementary school, there was a commercial on whatever, and it was some sort of dish soap. And it said that women all over America were fighting greasy pots and pans. And the boys picked up on that and said, yeah, women should be in the kitchen. And so she wrote a letter to Hillary Clinton, who was the first lady at the time, the dish soap company, and whoever the highest attorney is in the U.S. She wrote 3 letters. and they changed the commercial. And I don't know, my thought with that is I didn't take offense to it because I personally like being in my kitchen, and the fact that I don't have to get up every day and leave my house, I appreciate that.
Mhm.
But I feel like at times that that's looked down upon.
Yeah.
And, it's not all about power and making money and having a career. Some of us like to stay at home and do the home things and support the family from home.
Yeah. What you were saying before is where the women take off 5 years or whatever to be home with their kids. These feminist groups take that and they say, well, why should the mom have to leave work to take care of the kids? And they don't think there are us women who really take pride in that, and we love to be with our kids, and we think that's just as an important job as going out and working. So sorry, Stephanie, you were going to say something.
Yes. The extreme feminism is that people are pushing the idea that there are no differences between men and women.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, I get it that any job a man can do, a woman can do it also. But when you're going to try and blur those lines, that they are the same in all aspects, that is dangerous because gender is important, it's essential. We were male and females up there, we're male and females here, and when we go on the other side, we're going to be male and female. So it's important because, there are differences, we complement each other. So, people are taking it to the extreme end. And in one of the videos, the woman was talking about at the colleges, the young women would say, oh, they want to be a lawyer, a doctor, a nurse, a teacher, whatever. But if a young woman said, oh, I want to get married and have a family, that was an issue. It's that extreme that, okay, they shouldn't even want to be in the home anymore. Their only value is working outside of the home. And that is, I think that's dangerous. And also, when she was presented the difference with the gender gap, the wages, she didn't cite her sources because she was saying, for instance, the female doctor would make less because of the specialties that they're in. But when she mentioned the dollar amount, like 165,000 for women and I think it was 200 and something for men, she didn't say where she got that information from. She could have used the Labor Statistics Bureau, to back that up, or probably U.S. News or CNN Money, something like that, to make her argument more credible. I think that would have helped. And also, even though I see the point she's making when she mentioned, okay, because some women stay home or because of the specialties that they go in as doctors, they make less money. But if you go, say, on Wall Street, and you have a male trader and a woman trader, I'm telling you, they both of them left Harvard or wherever they graduated from, the man is going to start out with way more than the woman. And some people say it's because women do not bargain as much as the men. When we're going to negotiate a salary, they say, okay, we can pay you 50,000, we take that. While the man would, try to go for 60 and then hopefully it will drop down to 55. So, I don't know, but I think in some workplaces, men earn more than women. Probably if you're a nurse, the paying female may be probably a bit more level. But I think if you go into corporate America, there is a big difference, and that matters because when you're a single mother and you're earning less than a man, and you have to do the same or more with that money, it affects your family. So that's something that we really should talk about. And I was surprised when I heard about this because in Jamaica that doesn't happen. If I graduate from teachers college and a man graduate from teachers college, we start with the same salary. If I get my bachelor's degree and he gets his bachelor's degree, our pay increases the same. And over the years, if I work for 5 years and he worked for 5 years, it's the same pay increase. So there's no difference. So I was surprised that this is such a big issue.
Huh.
I have a question for you about that. I like the word negotiate that you used. That a man will negotiate differently than a woman. Do you think that could possibly be because, I mean, I'm talking traditional marriage here where husband is the provider, they're married, they have children, that kind of thing, that primarily the man is the breadwinner, and like sometimes when a woman works outside the home, the man also, and he makes more money, so what she makes isn't as important that she negotiate as high. Does that make sense?
Um, that could be the point because the man is coming in like the major income and hers is just like a backup type thing. So probably she's not pushing as hard as he would. And probably it's because probably the woman is afraid that they may not hire me. But if it's a competitive workforce, they may probably prefer to hire a man because at least he's not going to take off 3 2 3 months from maternity leave and probably stay home with the kids. So she's going in probably at a disadvantage, So she's at a weaker point than him. So probably she's not as aggressive as she probably should be in the argument.
Yeah, I did notice that she didn't name her sources and stuff. I did notice that too. That's hard. It may be harder. You're right for a woman to push her luck. She doesn't want to give up that job, and so she's not willing to negotiate because kind of in a way she might be at a disadvantage if they know she has a family she might have to care for and things like that. In a way she might be at a disadvantage. Huh.
I didn't think of that part of it. And with that, the employer might not be willing to pay her as much because he knows that she's going to be taking off work. And
Yeah.
with a woman, there's always the possibility of pregnancy, which means time off work.
Yeah.
During the pregnancy and after.
Yeah.
And then many times, women choose not to come back at all.
Yeah, that's true. That goes into the next video. There was a quote I really like. It says, "I will not be defined by anyone else, not by feminists, not by men's desires." That is female power. I like how it said, I'm not going to let feminists rule me either, because they're trying to do the same thing. They're trying to say, oh, you shouldn't have kids, you shouldn't be home, you should be out there working. And really that's taking choices away from those females also in a different way though. So the Feminism 2 video. It says, what sources is the author using? How does she support her argument? And is this argument persuasive to you? I didn't hear any places where she necessarily says, okay, the facts say this and this. It did help that she had worked with feminists before. That kind of gave her some credibility. I think it was really persuasive, but yeah, she didn't really necessarily support her argument with a lot of sources.
I watched that video twice and I only caught one, and I didn't catch the whole thing, but it was a person George Orwell, and I don't remember
Oh,
what he said. I mean, she was really fast.
yeah.
Um, but the three things that I really got out of that video was she used more like history and stories,
Yeah.
and the three things that women need to preserve dignity, to use the word no. That was the biggest for me, that there's great power in the word no. And then she had that slide with all the names of famous women who didn't say no that should have.
Hmm.
That one really got me, because the other side is promoting so much, I can be sexually free and do whatever I want with whomever I want, however and whenever. And that was something I have not heard in a long time. It's okay to say no.
Yeah.
And then to see men as partners instead of the enemy.
Yeah, I liked that.
In that
And
video, oh, go ahead,
she
Stephanie.
mentioned that the statistics for the claims that they made about women and violence and women and depression and women in the workplace injustice and stuff like that. I think those arguments would have been so much stronger if she had supported them with some evidence. For example, with work, women and violence. She could have probably mentioned some statistics from the police organization or something, saying X amount of women are beaten by their spouse, or they're raped by their spouse, or they're robbed while they're in the street, or something like that.
Hmm.
And for women who are facing injustice in the workplace, could have mentioned like what percentage of women were fired because they probably came to work late, or they missed work too many days, or something like that, as compared to men, to see if there is really a difference, or if there's a bias in the situation. And also, when you talk about women and depression, she could have mentioned something from the probably some medical association saying, women have depression more than men, probably within the like 20 to 30 age group, probably that would be due to postpartum depression or something like that. But, those things, she could have supported them, shouldn't have just left them hanging like that, because I'm sure she could have found sources to support those ideas that, okay, it said that women suffer with depression more than men. Is this really true? And why that's true.
Hmm.
But it was really something to think about. That women want to make their own decisions. You don't want anybody to say, "Oh, you must be in the workforce," or "You must stay home." That's a decision that you make. Do what's best for you and your family.
Yeah, I liked forgot what I was gonna say.
Don't you love it when that happens?
Oh, I love it. No. Yeah, I like how she said see men as partners and not competitors. And I really liked the no too. It reminds me of the AIDS video with that girl. She didn't want to lose her boyfriend or whatever. She thought she had to have sex with him. And then she decided not everyone, I'm giving up my power by saying yes when I should be saying no. And we feel like I feel like the feminists are really giving up some of the freedom by pushing um, these sexual rights and all of these things. So, and I really liked the video how showed it was really powerful when she showed how women are trying to replace men. They're trying to become like men. Why, if you're a feminist, why are you trying to become a man? Why are you trying to replace them when all you can do is put them down? instead of bring yourself up, if that makes sense.
Yeah, why do you want to become them if you can't stand them?
Yeah.
I like what you just said though about saying yes when you should say no, and how yes actually you lose your power, and power is what they seem to be after.
Yeah.
And how that is kind of ironic that that happens, that they actually lose power by saying yes and losing what it is they're after.
Mm-hmm.
My mom, well, I don't remember where she told me she got it, was some TV show or something, but she said the feminism, back in the day, you know, when everybody lived on farms, the wife, he went out in the field and she did the stuff in the house, and they were pretty much, everybody was at home all day long, or within, you know, she could see him out there in the field. And then we went to where men go to the workplace and the women stay home. And then women started going to the workplace. And then, you know, the affairs and secretaries, you know, kind of started happening, which was another weakening spot. And then it progressed to where now, you know, it's challenging for a man to make enough money to provide the needs on one income.
Yeah.
And back in the 50s, this is the part she liked. Her mom got everybody out the door, and she got to stay home, clean the house, and pretty much do whatever she wanted in the house while she had peace without the kids or the husband. And that was kind of a way that my grandmother kept her sanity, I guess, was while she was alone during the day.
Yeah.
And then, you know, my personal family, you know, my generation, my parents got divorced. Before that, my mom was a stay-at-home mom. And as a child, there's just no comparison in the two lives that we had. I mean, when my parents were married, we went camping all the time during the summer with my grandparents. We went hunting in the fall as a family. My mom and grandma, we camped, and the men went out and hunted. And my grandma and my mom cooked dinner and played with us. And we had family traditional holidays. And when my parents split up, all of that was gone. And my mom had to work. And she didn't get to come to school PTA stuff anymore and be in the classroom. I mean, it was a big change. And those are just, you know, some of the biggies. There's all kinds of little things as well.
How old were you when they separated?
I was 9 and change, and my sister was 5 and change. And she still to this day has not gotten over it.
That's sad.
Yep. And my mom, she's remarried, and very good man, very stable marriage. My dad, I don't know what number he's on anymore.
Oh.
He just got broke up with one, and now he's with another one.
That's sad.
So yeah, I just wonder, because a lot of times, you know, the parents were never married, even though the child may or may not know who one or the other parents are. That has to be difficult.
Mm-hmm.
That's an interesting,
I agree.
that'd be an interesting research to do. How those children, are they more prone to pro family or anti family since they never had one?
Huh.
I worked with the abstinence program for a while in Louisiana. And the director, we had a class one day, and she was explaining, she had this map of all the parishes in Louisiana, and they wanted the curriculum in every single parish. But in some of the outlying parishes where there wasn't a whole lot of population density, they had a hard time getting in there. And she said, and when we do go in there, they don't understand abstinence until marriage, because they don't even know what marriage is, because mom got pregnant, she had one kid, he left, she got with another guy, had another kid, he left. They have no concept of marriage or family.
That's depressing.
It's sad.
Yeah, and how do you start your own family if, yeah. How do you know the good from the bad if all you see is the bad?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Well, anything else you guys wanted to add? There's a lot of good videos. Some of them just blow me away. I wonder how I'm going to make it through this class. I'm like, that really happens? That's sad. So,
This week has been, I don't know, very touching. And there was the one with, what was his name? His last name was Fagan. Fagan or Vagan? It was a very short video. And that video, I think I've watched it 3 times, and I cry every single time. So there's something in there that I know that I need, but I haven't figured it out.
Okay, so I'm going to give the summary now.
okay.
Okay.
Okay, so we can't change the fact. It is not necessarily a fact because we believe it or because we say so. Someone's opinion is his or her viewpoint on a certain situation or position. What they think about a particular issue. And also, not because it's included in research does not make it a fact, it does not make it accurate, because sometimes data can be manipulated to support your argument. And science supports the doctrine. God created our whole being, and we should use all the tools that He has given us to help us to search for truth. And we should also keep our minds open so we can discern truth from falsehood. In the gender wage gap video, the woman presented her explanation for the difference in the gender gap issue. She said one explanation could be that women sometimes leave the workforce to have children and to stay home with those children. Or if, for instance, a woman is a doctor, she may go into low-paying specialty areas such as pediatrician or general family practice, while the men may become cardiologists or surgeons. So that would explain why there's a difference in their income. And also, when she mentioned differences in the salary, she mentioned that the woman would probably earn about $165,000 per year, while the male doctor would earn over $200,000. But she could have supported those arguments by using statistics from like the Bureau of Labor and Statistics, or probably CNN Money or US News. And also, feminism should be a leveling field, and it should not be used to sort of drive a wedge between men and women. And sometimes some women push the feminism idea too far to the point where they want men and women to be exactly alike. We agree that there are jobs that men and women can do, but men and women are not the same, and there are differences in our genders, and that is important because that's the way Heavenly Father made us. And also, sometimes women stay home from work, from the workforce, so they can have children and stay home with those children. And that should not be an issue where people should criticize her or look down on her because her worth is not only valued by her being in the workforce. And also, when feminists are pushing the idea that women can be like men, they're also saying, okay, women should be able to have casual sex just like men. And that is a dangerous moral road to tread because that can lead to unwanted pregnancies and other problems down the road. And also, a woman should have the choice of whether she wants to stay home with her husband and their children, or if she wants to go out into the workforce. She should be able to make that choice for herself. She should be able to make that decision based on what is best for her and her family. And we also agree that men and women are partners and they should work as partners and not as competitors. And in one video, the argument would have been more persuasive when she spoke about women and depression. If she had supported that idea with some facts from probably from the American Medical Association, or when she spoke about women and violence, she probably could have used some crime reports from the FBI or from the police force or some other reputable source. And we agreed strongly with her notion that women should have the power to say no. If they do not want to get involved in certain activities, it is their right to choose, and they should be able to say no, and the other party understand that she means no, and she should not be forced into anything that she's not comfortable doing.
Thank you.
Good.
That is wonderful.
I just
Okay,
thought of
thanks.
something, Stephanie, as you were reading that, and you were reading the part about the woman's choice about whether what she wants. And I don't know, that just kind of brought me to the thought about the whole what the woman wants, women want. In that little section right there, I felt like even we in our discussion, we didn't even bring up what God wants or what God expects from a woman. And it's not really about us. And in that statement, it seemed like it was all about us. Does that make sense? Sometimes I think we as humans, we get so involved and wrapped up in something that could be a good thing, is a good thing, but we forget to include him.
Yeah.
And that's kind of when we go awry.
Well, hopefully what the women want, hopefully, is what God wants. And I guess that's up to them to keep themselves connected to God, to know, to have their wants aligned with God's wants. So I guess that's a personal decision, but you're right. Hopefully God is included in people's plans, and us as women, hopefully we're considering that when we're making our choices too. That's a good point. You're right. Hopefully women have God in mind when they're making their decisions.
Yep. Okay, are we finished? I'm going to push pause if we are.
I think so.
Okay.